Welcome to the Teacher's Compass podcast. I'm your host, Louise Schwartz, a former teacher turned life coach, and I'm here to offer guidance, direction, and practical support for teachers and teaching assistants who are feeling overwhelmed or questioning their place in education. Hi, and welcome back to another episode of the Teacher's Compass podcast. How are you? I hope you've had a lovely week, and it is that time of year. We are looking at Christmas. Have you got your Christmas presents sorted? Are you organised? Or are you like me, still buying things and you haven't started wrapping yet? But we'll get there, don't worry. Hopefully by the end of the week, we'll have everything sorted and it'll all be done and dusted. Looking forward to the big day. In our episode today, we are talking about community spirit and how that community spirit in schools has wavered a little bit, I think, since COVID. Definitely. I'm hoping that some of you will be sitting there thinking, oh no, we've got quite a good community spirit in our school. But I'm guessing that maybe a lot of you might be sitting there thinking, we don't really have that much community spirit in our school. And it's almost kind of, every man for themselves and look out for yourself, get yourself sorted. So when I first started teaching, 20 years ago, we had an amazing staff room. I guess that was the people that were part of that staff room definitely helped to contribute to that feeling. But when I first started teaching, we would meet in the staff room before school. Everybody would be getting drinks sorted. There would be a whole host of people in there at break time, again, getting drinks, maybe getting snacks. And again, at lunchtime, you would go into the staff room for not the whole of lunchtime, but maybe sort of 20 minutes, half an hour. And everybody would be sat together, eating lunch, chatting, sharing how their morning had gone, and just coming together as a team, as a group, to just be that team. The more my teaching career has gone on, the more that has dwindled. And I think COVID absolutely knocked that on the head because so many staff rooms were almost shut down during COVID. Because we weren't allowed to mix in big groups and because you weren't allowed in small spaces, within so many meters of other people, I think COVID really put a nail in the coffin of staff room kind of camaraderie and that team feel of going in the staff room with your colleagues to sit and have a chat and a catch up and to share how your day had gone. That has almost disappeared now. And I don't know many staff rooms where that sense of teamwork still exists within the staff room. Because, and I don't know why it's because actually, I feel like COVID has played a part, but why we haven't gone back to those ways since we've been allowed to kind of mix again, I don't really know. And that for me has been a really hard thing to deal with towards the end of my teaching career. Why have we not got that teamwork and that, community feel in our schools? I always loved going in the staff room. I am that sort of chatty person that will talk to anybody and that enjoys having a chat about my day and finding out how my colleagues have got on. I used to love being part of the staff room. It was sort of, a hub of conversation, which for me, that was the place I wanted to be. I always knew that when I went in the staff room, I would find a colleague that I could talk to, that if I'd had a particularly tricky morning, I could speak to somebody and kind of offload. Or if if I was nervous about something that was coming up or a bit anxious about a lesson that I'd got coming up, I could speak to somebody and kind of settle those worries a little bit by just talking and sharing how I was feeling with other people and hearing how they were feeling too. I think that makes a massive difference, knowing that you are not alone. I think as we have moved from COVID now into this sort of teaching era that we have headed into, that lack of community spirit and that lack of sort of communication with your colleagues, I think that's had a massive impact on a lot of teachers' mental health. Definitely for me, I never felt like I could offload to other teachers for fear of how they were feeling and putting sort of my stresses onto them as well. And actually, I think talking to people is the best way to deal with any worries that you've got. But actually, it made me go the other way and feel like, I can't tell them how bad my morning's been because their morning's probably been just as bad. And that worry about being able to offload almost prevents you from offloading, which then doesn't help because you haven't got out there those things that you need to say out loud and share with somebody that understands how you're feeling. And that, I think that makes that worse. I think that's much more difficult to deal with. Has that shift from sharing our worries and sharing our concerns and working together as a team, has that shift now been turned into perceived as teachers can't cope? If you're saying out loud and sharing with people, oh, I've had a really tricky morning with this class, or, we've had a particularly difficult lesson, is that a worry for teachers now, that it looks like they can't cope and they worry about what their colleagues will think, as opposed to that sort of sharing of teamwork and sharing of ideas and methods? Instead of that feeling like that's something everybody does together, do a lot of staff now feel like, oh, I better not say that I've struggled with this lesson because I don't want people to think I can't cope? I do wonder if that's the way perhaps social media makes people feel, whether that's the way people now think, oh, I best not share that because I don't want people to think bad of me or think poorly of me, when actually, crikey, we're all human, aren't we? And we all find it difficult in some respects to do certain things. So actually being honest and open about that and sharing that with people makes it much easier to deal with, instead of worrying about it, overthinking it, stressing about it. That makes it even worse to me, makes it even harder to deal with because you haven't got anybody to back you up. I'm not sure I really know what the answer is, but I feel like I want there to be more of a sense of community for teachers and teaching assistants. I feel like I want there to be a sense of belonging to something that's perhaps bigger than you and bigger than the school that you work in, but so that teachers are in this situation together with people to support them and people to look out for them and help them, rather than to criticise, which maybe that's partly due to what teachers are perceived to be in the media. There's a lot of criticism about teachers and about schools and about the way the education system is being run. And that criticism filters down, doesn't it? So that teachers begin to feel like they are doing an inadequate job, when in actual fact they aren't. They are doing their absolute best with working with the resources that they've got and the funding that they've got. And the children are getting such a good offering because teachers care so much and they're putting so much time and effort and thought into things. But that is then stretching those teachers far too thinly to be able to mentally and physically cope with the stresses of the job. And if you remove that sense of community and that staff room camaraderie, that teamwork, it almost feels like you're in it on your own. And I think that's much, much harder to deal with than being able to say, yeah, we're working on this together. And although it might not be right yet, we're working hard to put things in place to make it be the best that it can be. So how do we go about building this community feel back into our schools and back into our staff rooms? Well, there's some small things that you could do day to day in your school. You could, say to some of your colleagues that you get along well with, or even colleagues that you don't know very well, shall we all meet in the staff room for a 15-minute lunch break or a 20-minute lunch break, half an hour, however long you've got to eat? Shall we all say that we'll meet in the staff room and have some lunch together before we all then carry on with the rest of our day? I think if we don't make that effort to actually spend some time with our colleagues, do you ever really get to know the people that you work with? Or is it just that you know them in the classroom and you work with them in the classroom and then that's it? Everybody sort of goes off home back to their own lives without really knowing who they are, what they like, what do they enjoy, what are they good at? Those are the sorts of things that you share in a staff room, and you actually really get to know each other so well. Having small kind of outings, I want to say trips, but not like a school trip, but just maybe saying, right, Friday after school, we're going to just go for a quick coffee at the coffee shop, or we're going to go to the pub for a quick pint before everybody goes home. We used to do that every Friday. The first school that I worked at, every Friday after school, everybody would be done sort of relatively early, maybe about 4, quarter past 4. We'd go to the pub, no longer than an hour. We'd all sit and have a chat and have a catch up, discuss our week, share with our friends what we were going to be up to at the weekend, and just have a little bit of downtime to relax and switch off. Now, it wasn't something that everybody did every week, but you would know that if on a Friday you just needed a bit of time to sort of switch off and relax, that there would be a couple of people that were going to the pub that you could just have a bit of a chat with and a catch up with and just, offload. I used to love those Friday afternoons. They were so fun, just, spending time with your colleagues and with your friends. They were friends that then helped you to sort of just switch off and finish that week on a high. It was brilliant. I really enjoyed doing that on a Friday. These days, when the bell goes, everybody sort of still sits in their classrooms, don't they? Finishing off those last bits of marking or planning or prepping, whatever needs to be done. And then off you go, switch the lights off, you go home, get in your car and drive away. Do we really get to know those colleagues now as well as we used to when we were teaching sort of 15, 20 years ago? I'd say not. I've still got a couple of colleagues from this first school, the very first school where I worked, and we still meet up now in school holidays. We just catch up, we go out for lunch or something like that. But some of the colleagues that I've met more recently in my teaching roles, I don't stay in touch with hardly any of them, which is a real shame. It's that difference perhaps between colleagues and friends. Could you call any of your teaching colleagues friends? Perhaps, maybe one or two, but would you get into double figures saying that people that you work with are actually, friends that you knew a lot about, that you could share, stories about, what you know about each other? I think that's a real shame. And it also, does that have an impact on the kids? Maybe it does, because then in some ways you're not working so closely as a team and doing what needs to be done together in that sort of sense of teamwork, because everybody's too busy just doing their own things rather than actually working together as a team. When we connect with our colleagues, we form this unique bond. As teachers and teaching assistants, there's nothing like that collaboration between staff to really bond you together, because you're going through those same experiences and those same sort of difficult situations that only you understand, that really create that strong bond and that strong friendship. And I think sometimes that's what's missing, not necessarily the staff room banter and the staff room chat, but those bonds with your colleagues to say, yeah, we're really close and we're really good friends. And if I were to leave school tomorrow, we would still be really good friends and we'd still get along and we'd still see each other. How many of you have got a Christmas do this year that you're going to with your friends from school? We had some brilliant Christmas do's. I remember back at the beginning of my teaching career, we would definitely all be meeting up. We'd be going out for a meal, maybe a disco, or going for some drinks all together. But it would be an important part of the calendar, I felt, for all those teaching staff, to just let your hair down and be yourself and relax with your friends and, spend some time together outside of the classroom. There's a lot of schools these days, I've worked in a few recently, where they don't have a Christmas do. And if they do organise something for Christmas, then maybe, a third of the staff might go, possibly half of the staff might go. But it wouldn't be everybody. And that's what it used to be. We used to have everybody all going out together and spending time together and enjoying each other's company. Maybe COVID has put a bit of a halt on that, in that people have got so used to, sitting at home in their comfies, sitting at home in their pajamas and just chilling and spending time with family, that they aren't too keen on going out and spending time with friends and with colleagues. But I think that's really important, to have that. I can't think of what the word is, but just have that, sense of bonding with the people that you work with. I think it's really important. Let me know in the chat, in the comments. Let me know if you're going on a Christmas Works Do as a school, and if so, are all of the teaching staff from your school going to that Works Do? I'd be really intrigued to know, actually. Now, if you're missing out on that school community feel and you want to feel like you're part of something that values you and values your opinion and really gives you a sense of belonging, then I have got just the thing for you. So I am launching a brand new membership group called the Teachers Compass. And it is going to be a community for teachers and teaching assistants for us to come together, share our experiences, talk about how we're feeling and about things that are maybe happening in our schools and things that possibly we're struggling with, and just be able to share that community as a group. I am so excited to build this community because I think we're going to have some wonderful people in this group. And I really hope that we'll be able to help each other. So if there's things that you're struggling with, you can come in and ask questions. Or if you're unsure if teaching's for you anymore, if you're worried about what the future might look like, then to share with each other our experiences of what we've been through. I think it's going to be invaluable to a lot of people. So if you feel like that your sense of community and teamwork and collaboration in your school isn't what you want, and you're looking for that community group that you can turn to when you need support, then the Teachers Compass membership is definitely for you. I want this group to be able to change people's lives. I want it to offer people the direction and the guidance and the support that they're looking for that they haven't got in their schools. This is something I really could have done with a few years ago, and I couldn't find anything that was like this, which is why I'm setting it up, because I think there is a real issue with teaching staff isolating themselves and feeling like the emotions that they're going through and the situations that they find themselves in, that it's only them that's ever felt like that. Honestly, it really isn't. I've been through quite a lot over the last few years, and I want to share my experiences with people who feel like they're stuck and feel like, they can't see the way forward and they don't know what the future's going to hold. They don't know what they want. They're struggling to work out who they are and where they're going in life. This feeling of being lost and overwhelmed is really exhausting and draining. And I feel like part of that is what contributed to me feeling so burnt out and just lost in the world. It's taken me a long, long time, and I still don't feel like I'm completely there. I'm in a better place now than I was, but I want to help other people that are feeling as lost as I was sort of 2-3 years ago. And I want to provide that support for those people. So if that's you and you feel like you're struggling to be the same teacher that you were a few years ago, come and join the membership, because I want to be able to help you out. And I know there's going to be other people joining that membership who are going to be able to offer the same amount of value to help you, support you, and just give you a little bit of direction on where you want to go and what you want to do. So if you think that's something that you'd enjoy, please get in touch. You can find all the details. I'll put the link in the show notes. But just message me. Let's have a quick chat about it. See if it's going to be something that you want to jump in and get involved with, because I've got some special offers for the first few people that join. It's going to be amazing. Right. Have a great rest of your day and keep that smile on your face. As a teacher and a teaching assistant, you do an amazing job and you are fabulous. Don't let anybody tell you any different. You are amazing. Put that smile on, get that chin up, and let's have the most brilliant day. Take care, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye. Thanks so much for tuning in to the Teacher's Compass. If you found this episode helpful, click on the link in the show notes for some more resources and support. Don't forget to leave a review on whichever app you choose to listen to us on. Your feedback helps us to reach more teachers just like you. See you next time.